Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's Dealer On webinar, Master Selling Strategies that Immediately Impact Sales and Market Strategy. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealer On. And for anyone who isn't familiar with Dealer On, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency best known for our awesome SEO, the absolute best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the brand new Chameleon responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that Dealer On is still the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads? Well, maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We were supposed to have Bill Wittenmyer on today's presentation, but he has unfortunately been called away on an emergency. So instead, we're very pleased to have Dan Dillingham step in as our presenter today. Dan Dillingham currently serves as Regional Vice President of the Central Region for eLead One, the leading dealership software provider in today's automotive market. Prior to joining the sales division in 2011, Dan was the National Director of Training for 5 years. Dan has spent over 10 years in automotive retail, holding numerous positions from sales and sales management to finance with organizations such as the Larry H. Miller Automotive Group, the Van Tile Group, and the David McDavid Auto Group. Dan studied business at New Mexico State University and currently resides in Dallas with his wife and 2 children. And we're very pleased to have him with us today. He can be reached at dan.dillingham@elead1crm.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to try and respond to you by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at eLead One are giving away a fantastic prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to be winning a free 500-name Gold Digger call campaign. It's valued at $1,750. The Gold Digger live call campaign blends the best-in-class eLead virtual BDC with the industry's most advanced data mining technology to strategically target positive equity or early trade-out opportunities. This is a great prize for your dealership. You have to be on the live broadcast to win it, though. All you have to do is stay tuned for the details after Dan's presentation, and you could be scoring this awesome prize today. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey, so fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. Today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So, let's get started. Let's learn master selling strategies that immediately impact sales and market share. Dan, how the heck are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you today, Miss Eliana?
Thank you so much for being here today and stepping in where Bill could not. So I really appreciate you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to talk about today, because this is a great topic. A lot of people don't think about how to improve their market share. You know, they just want to shove the cars out the door. But this is very important. Why don't you tell everyone the kinds of things we're going to be learning about today?
We're going to talk about a bunch of things. The first thing I want to do is thank everybody for your time and getting on this webinar today. I'm going to do my best to make sure everybody walks away from here with something that you can walk into your dealership with and help you guys sell more cars immediately, because as we know, we are all car salesmen, because we're all about some instant gratification. So we're going to talk about texting, we're going to talk about mobile devices, we're going to talk about phone calls, emails, instant messengers, all kinds of things in order to make sure we get to the customer faster, more efficiently, and absolutely in the way that the customer wants to be communicated with. That's the key, guys, is we got to walk away from this knowing how all of our customers want to communicate, and everybody's going to be different. In the middle and after this thing's over, Eliana's going to take some questions. I'll be on here as long as anybody needs to make sure I can go over everything that you guys might have a question on. I'm going to give you some facts today that we've looked up that have come from places like Google, Dealer.com, JD Powers, and give you guys some information and some stats. So thanks again for coming on with us.
I love it. Let's get started.
Right on. So here we go. Today, one of the things that we always have to talk about is, how many visits is a customer making to the dealership? That's when we really want to try and engage. And that's one of the things that we've trained on, not now, but we also trained on it, 20 years ago when I started. We talk about in our training classes, showroom ups, meet and greet, demo rides, walk-arounds. But one of the things we don't train on enough is how are we going to communicate with these people? Only about 20%, if you're real good, are closing the first time in the store. So what are we doing with the other 80% of our customers that either business, either in some type of electronic form, via the telephone, or actually walk in the door? How are we going to get more of those folks on the phone? The other thing that we need to know is 75% of our customers are using their mobile phones on the lot. While they're here, while they're standing there on the lot with you guys, they have their phone in their hands. Guys, they're not playing Minecraft. They're not texting their girlfriends. They're looking up information on us. They want to know things like rebates, so they're visiting your manufacturer sites. They want to know things like interest rates, so they're going to their bank. They're on your manufacturer sites. Not only that, here's the key. Understand this, y'all. If 81% of them are using their phone in the buying process, are they looking at just your website? No, they're looking at your competitors' websites. So one of the things I always want to preach to everybody is, what the customer's really doing is they're deciding if they want to buy from you or not. They are trying to eliminate you from the buying process. Don't be eliminated. All right, have prices on your lot or on your website. Excuse me. If you got prices on your website, you got a lot better chance of keeping that customer there. It doesn't matter if it's the lowest price out there. Just have something for them to reference, because those people are going to make a telephone call. You notice down there it says 26 phone calls to every one email. All right, that's a dealer.com stat. They're a website company that's telling us our phone is ringing. If you guys go look at your CRM right now, you can go look at the number of phone ups that you have, and I'll bet you, a good store is, I'm in stores all the time, so a good store is going to log 150 to 200 phone ups. They're doing a really good job. A great store might log 250 to 300. So if you're getting 26 to 1, how many times is your phone ringing today? Are your salespeople logging it into your CRM so you know that your phone is ringing, so that you know where these people are coming from? They're not. Guys, the reason your salesperson doesn't log this customer into your CRM is because they're not getting the information to log. They're answering the phone. They don't know what to say. They're not being trained on a daily basis, and we'll get into training again here as we go along. But these guys get lost on the telephone, so they're trying to get on. Hopefully they set an appointment if they even ask for it. There's stats out there that tell you, I think the number, and I have it in here somewhere, I'd have to look for it, is like 20% of salespeople actually ask for the appointment while they're on the phone. Folks, people want to make appointments. They're like me. They're like you. Think about yourself. Do you have the time to go spend in a dealership in order to buy a car? Or do you want to walk in and say, hey, Eliana, I'm here to look at that white Escalade. You want to go in and ask for somebody. They will make an appointment if you just ask them to. Communication, how are you guys going to talk to these people? How are we going to get to them? So once they come to the store, once they send in a lead, how are we going to get to the folks? We already talked about the 26 to 1. They're going to call and make telephone calls. We got to get our people trained. Everybody knows that. Also, during this, guys, I'm going to talk about call center scripts. If any of you guys want scripts for phone calls for your customers, please feel free to reach out to me after this seminar is over, and I'll be more than happy to get those emailed out to you. We got probably 150 different scripts we could send out to anybody. The other thing we need to talk about is mobile ads. What are you guys doing as far as mobile ads are going? How are we getting our message to the customer? How are we getting them? So mobile ads, they're clicking on their phones. They're doing the click to call or their tap to call on their telephone. So they're looking up your website on the phone. They're going maybe in an SEM or a SEO ad that you're doing. They're finding when they go and search for cars. If you're really on top of your game right now, you're doing some geofencing. Geofencing is a way that you can target market your customers. It's very inexpensive. There's a bunch of companies out there that do it, and they do a very good job with it. So it's a way that you can communicate with a whole bunch of customers in very, very specific areas, either around your dealership or on top of somebody else's dealership as a conquest. Email marketing. Things are going more mobile, and we'll talk about email, but I want to talk about a little bit too is, the millennials that are out there right now, or the kids that are 16, 17, 18, 20 years old that are going to be your buyers in 10 or 15 years. Those people right now, they look at email just like the way we look at licking a stamp. Right now, I can't tell you the last time I licked a stamp and put something in the mailbox. That's the same way they look at email. They're all about mobile communication. They want a text. They want something instant. We think we're all about instant gratification as car salesmen. They're really about instant gratification. They're used to having stuff literally in the palm of their hand on that device that every single one of you has on your desk right now. So what we found is you have on average of a 22% open rate when you send out your email blasts. So your blast goes out, you're getting to 22% of the people. We have some stores that are getting as high as 80. It all depends on the content and what you have out there and how targeted your customers are that you're actually hitting. Now, if you're sending out stuff via text message, when's the last time anybody on this call right now didn't look at a text message that came to their phone? I guarantee you every one of you does. There's very few people that I've ever seen that don't read every text message that comes in, or at least open it and at least look at it. So we got to get more mobile with our customers, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. I also want to talk about your websites. You guys have a sales website. I'm sure it's robust. It's dealer on. These guys are the best. I believe in them. They really do have the best websites out there that convert very highly. But let me ask you a question. What are you doing for service? And what I mean is, your competitors out there in your service drive are Jiffy Lube. Your competitors out there for the service drive are Pet Boys. Guess what? They all have websites. They all do SEO. They all do SEM. Everybody's doing PPC. You probably are not. If you have a service website, God bless you, rock and roll, way to go. If you don't, get one. You got to be able to communicate with your customers and compete with the guy down the road. Live chat on your websites. Guys, I love chat functions. I fly all the time. I'll reference airplanes here in a little while, but one of the things I like is I can get on American Airlines, or I can get on what used to be U.S. Air is now American Airlines. So either one of them, they're the two I fly. So I can get on their website, and if I got questions, I don't have to pick up the phone, wait for 10 minutes for somebody to answer. They go through 75 questions in order to answer my one thing, like, hey, I want to change a seat, or what happened to my upgrade status. I can click on a button. I can live chat with the people. I have somebody within a minute or two. I can ask my question. They answer my question. We move on. I'm off and run. Same thing with the text messages. Guys, the alerts via text message to your customer is huge. If you have a good CRM is going to alert your customers to things that they could do, or things that they missed. A missed service appointment, an appointment confirmation for sales and service. Your email marketing and long-term follow-up is huge, but you got to be able to hit them in the way that these people want to be hit. We got to start talking to our people the way they want to be talked to, not the way that we think they want to be talked to. So I talked about text messaging for just a second, a minute ago, and I want to hit it again because it's so big nowadays. Guys, your text messages through your CRM has to do several things. It can't be just the simple texting that you have over here. First thing is it needs to have an opt-in. You guys need to stay compliant. So the first text message that you ever send to your customer should be preceded by an opt-in alert. The next thing you should be able to do, just like you can see right here, is you need to be able to send pictures of the car. We need to be able to give them relevant content based on the information that they're looking for. This is all about speeding up your deals. So you also need to be able to give them things mobile app, like a loyalty link or a dealership mobile application where they can come in and view your inventory. They can appraise their own car. Down here on the bottom, they should be able to make an offer because, God forbid, we accidentally sell something. So you guys, your customers should be able to look at your inventory, see what's going on, make an offer on the car, and Once they make you an offer, it doesn't come over in a lead. It should come to your desk log. Your manager should be able to reply and make a counter offer and do the whole deal right there over his computer. So your customer literally walks in, goes to F&I, does his paperwork, takes his new car home, and he's gone. 45 minutes or less. He's out. Automated responses. You guys should have something, or you should look into something to make sure you're doing some long-term communication with your customers, either sending an email, via text message, something. E-brochures. I love these things. I've been preaching them for years. Nobody uses them. It drives me crazy. I preach this like, Eliana said, I ran our training division for a long time. I've installed 1,000 stores. I've talked about this e-brochure in every training class I've ever given over the last 10 years. And probably 5% of the people use it. Guys, this is a huge tool for y'all. You need to be able to send your customer information that they want. You have a stack of brochures on the showroom floor. I know your general manager or owner at one point in time has complained about how much money he spent on brochures that month or that week or that year. I know I always did. It drove me crazy. So, send them this stuff electronically. Here's the difference. When you send them this stuff electronically, you're the only person that's doing it. Every CRM out there has the ability to do this. You're the only person that's sending this information to the customer in this type of format. They can sit down, they can go through it, they can talk to their wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother, cousin, whoever is part of their buying decision with them. They can click through the buttons. Down here on the bottom, you can see that you should be able to go in and view actual photos of your car. Don't send just stock photos. Make sure this thing's sending actual photos of your vehicle. All right. Also, the biggest key here is it has to have an ability to set an appointment with your customer. So your customer needs the ability to click on that appointment tab. Once they click on the appointment tab, they should be able to set an appointment for you at the dealership. When they set the appointment, it should come over via text alert to your sales rep, your sales manager, your general manager, whoever you want to get it. You also need to be able to do the same type of stuff in your service drive via your mobile application. I can't talk about mobile. I can't talk about alerts more than enough. I can't talk about texting more than too much. It's just absolutely where this thing's going. I was sitting in a dealership the other day, and it was funny. I was getting prepared to do this webinar with you guys, and this dealer just goes on this rant about text messaging and mobile and how that's the way that the business is going, and everybody's got to get more into it. And this guy sells a lot of cars. He's in a little bitty town in Arkansas, but he sells 350, 400 cars out of his Ford and his Chrysler Dodge Jeep store. The guy does a great job, but he's always on the cutting edge. I was really surprised to hear him talking about that, or I guess I shouldn't be, because he does sell cars. He's got to be out front of everybody else. Anyway, e-brochure is huge. You guys need to be using this. Make sure your salespeople are clicking on it. You should also be able to track it. How many people are opening it? What are they looking at? How many times did they open it? You guys should be able to see all that with inside your CRM. Electronic pricing and payment. Guys, this stuff is all about getting your customer what they want. I talked about pricing a minute ago. Again, I can't stress enough. If you don't have prices on your website, get prices on there. All you're doing is eliminating yourself, because everybody else has prices on their website. I was looking for a new Cadillac, and I went and looked at one of my dealers that does business with us, and they didn't have prices on their website. I looked at his competitor down the street. Guess what? He did. So now my buddy that does business with us has prices on his website. But, guys, you've got to get your prices on there, because all you're doing is making sure that you're eliminating yourself, and the people can go find this information anyway. You're only hiding something from yourself, not from them. So whenever they send in a lead, they're on your website, they're somewhere else, wherever they happen to be, they send in a lead. Guys, give them what they want. Give them prices on their car. Give them payments on the car that they want. Offer them a model up. Offer them a model down. Offer them used cars. Just because somebody wants a new Escalade doesn't mean they can afford a new Escalade. So when you give them that information and you say, hey, man, this thing's on sale for only $72,988 plus tax, title, and license, that might be a little too much. Maybe what you need to do is on this same screen, offer them a used one, 2 or 3 years old. Maybe that car's 40 grand. They can buy that. That works for them. Give them a choice. If you give people options, they will always pick something with you. Eliana, looks like we got some questions coming up.
That's right. All right, audience. We have your first of 2 poll questions. So here we go. It's on your screen now. We'd love it if you'd get involved and answer this question for us. Here we go. According to the most recent J.D. Power Auto Shop survey, what percentage of customers use social media for their buying decision? Please select one of the following answers. Do you think it's 2%, 5%, 7%, 10%, or 13%? So once we get a majority of those votes in, we'll close this poll. We'll share the results. We want to know, do you know the answer to this question? According to the most recent J.D. Power Auto Shop survey, what percentage of customers use social media for their buying decision? And, a lot of people are voting. I love it when I hear from you. Thank you so much. So, how many do you think, according to this survey, use social media for their buying decisions? 2%, 5%, 7%, 10%, or 13%? We're going to close this poll and check out what you thought, and then, Dan, you're going to tell us what the right answer is, right? Dan,
Absolutely I am.
all right, here we go. Let's close.
I'm still here. I did not fall asleep, I swear.
I know you didn't. All right, here we go. Let's close this poll and share the result. All right, Dan. Let's see.
Guys, answer to that question is 7%. Only 7% of your buyers are looking at social media right now in order to make their decision. What we have to remember, again, I'm a little older. I don't fit quite in that demographic of the Instagrams and some of those other things that are out there now. But, my kids that are coming up do. People that are, in their mid-20s are using things like Instagram. Very few people are using, Facebook anymore. The millennials are shying away from Facebook. The reason they're doing that is they don't want to see ads there. They're trying to talk to their friends, see what's going on, see what discussions are happening. They don't care who's buying what specials are there, what ads are going out. 7% is your answer.
Okay, just so you know, 63% of today's audience thought it was 13%, 17% of today's audience thought it was 10%, and only 13% of today's audience thought that it was 7%, and then we had a few people who thought it was either 5% or 2%. So a lot of people did not know the answer to this one. Thank you so much, Dan, for letting us know.
Absolutely. So talking about what I want to run into is how are we communicating? How can we get to our people? How can we talk to them? How do they want to be talked to? That's the key. Not how we want to talk to them. That's what I'm going to keep saying that. It's not how we want to communicate with the customer. They're the customer. How do we want to communicate with them? So let's talk about phone calls. So 20% of your people are not going to ask, only 20% of your salespeople are going to ask for an appointment when the customer's on the phone with them. Guys, we got to be asking all of them. We said earlier that the number 60% of the people want to set an appointment with you when they call in, but only 20% of your reps are asking. That leaves a pretty big number of people that they're not getting appointments for, and they're hanging up the phone. We're just praying that they're coming in the door. Not only that, our salespeople aren't persistent enough. We'll talk about ways and advantages to prop your salespeople up. Do some heavy lifting for these guys. There's outside companies out there that do a very, very good job with follow-up unless you guys have a BDC that's doing your follow-up for you. But again, don't make it a BFC, which is a business follow-up center. It's got to be a BDC, business development. We'll talk about that too shortly. But your salesperson's only making a couple of telephone calls. Then they're throwing their hands in the air, telling the boss, hey, boss, I can't get a hold of them. They're not here. They bought somewhere else. They want to do something else. They want to tell you every story known to mankind so they don't have to make that telephone call. The sad part about it is the boss that they're going to is probably not going to call that customer either. All right, so that customer's gone. Now, as a dealer or an owner, you're just hoping that customer strolls back in or actually picks up the phone and calls.
Did I lose you? You okay?
Yeah, no, sorry, I lost it there for a second. I don't know what happened. I just went away. I was talking. Sorry about that, y'all. So, yeah, your average salesperson, just to reiterate, I'm not sure where I left you guys or not, but your average sales rep is only going to make a couple attempts before he throws his hands in the air. Other than that, 80% of the people that are out there don't even get a telephone call. So, I mean, what are you going to do with those customers that aren't being followed up on at all? Again, there's other people out there that will get this thing done for you. The other thing is, what about the phone calls that don't even get answered that are coming into the store? So you got 114 calls on average that aren't even picked up. They come in after hours or go to voicemail or something like that. Again, I'm the oil change. Well, I bought it in Houston. I live in Dallas. Bought it in Houston because I have a dealer. It's a buddy of mine there. But anyway, so I called the store next to me. I picked up my phone. Again, everything's got to be mobile. I hit the little map on my iPhone. I typed in new Cadillac dealer. The Cadillac dealer closest to me popped up. I clicked on a button, clicked on his phone number, called. When it called, the receptionist picks up and says, "Hey, what are you calling for?" I said, "Hey, I want to make an oil change appointment." She says, "Great, no problem." Ring, 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 ring. You guys know the routine. If you haven't called your own store, do it to see what happens. So next thing I know, same receptionist answers the phone again, says, "Oh, thank you for calling XYZ Cadillac. What can I help you with?" I said, "I still want to set a, appointment to bring my car in to get the oil changed." Ring, 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 ring. Please leave a message. The person that you called cannot be, the message basically picks up. What did I do? Did I leave a message? No. I hung up. I got in my truck. I took it down to Jiffy Lube, and I got my oil changed. That's what's going on, guys. So you got to have a backstop. You got to have somebody out there, your people, somebody else. Somebody's got to be out there to answer your telephone calls when you're not, or when your customers are calling after hours. The other thing about your service drive, guys, I don't blame a service advisor for not picking up the telephone. I know some of you guys just thought I fell down and bumped my head, but what do you really want your service advisor doing? If I'm sitting there and I'm doing my inspection on a car in the service drive, do you want me telling that customer to hold on, wait right here, I'll be right back, let me go answer this phone call? No, of course. You want them staying with the prospect or with that customer that's on your drive. You don't want them walking away from them. So, like I said, have a backstop. Have something out there that's going to help you capture those phone calls. So if you got 114, let's assume half of them are sales, half of them are service. How much money's out there laying on the ground for us to pick up? You guys should be able to have a performance report out there that will give you some really good information. One of the things that we don't talk about enough is, and I hope all of y'all ask this question, I learned this a long time ago, is appointments tomorrow. We have our 5-minute coaching session with our staff every morning. They walk in the door. We say, "Hey, what's going on? How many appointments you got today? What's happening?" Well, here's where our verbiage is wrong. If you're trying to find out how many appointments you have today, or if your salespeople are coming in today trying to set appointments for the day, they've already failed. We better start looking at tomorrow. Tomorrow is the key. If you don't have any appointments today, you're already behind the 8 ball. You better start setting appointments for tomorrow so you make sure that you don't fail tomorrow. The other thing you want to look at is, what are they logging? What information are they getting? Yesterday, this particular store, you can look right here. This is the key right here. 2 phone ups logged. Logged with 2 phone numbers. Guys, get 2 telephone numbers for your customers. We can tell you from experience that your contact ratio, when you get multiple telephone numbers from a customer, goes up incredibly. Get a home number. Get a cell phone number. Get a work number. Don't get a home. How many of you guys on here even have a home telephone number anymore? Right? Get a cell phone number. Get a work number. You get those 2 pieces of information, you're going to go from about a 50% contact ratio with 1 telephone number to upwards of over 80% with 2 telephone numbers. I'll give you the exact stat here in just a second. But guys, get 2 telephone numbers out of your customers. Give them a chance to actually pick up the telephone. So based on the information, what you can see here is the average stuff that we're going to be talking about. Whenever the outside source is calling your customers, this is based on 50 million dials. This is what they are finding about your customers after they left your dealership. Average product knowledge. Again, I talked earlier. We have training classes in dealerships all the time as dealers, training on product knowledge, walk-arounds, how to sell, meet and greets, but we don't talk about the rest of the stuff. So the average product knowledge is high. The courtesy's high. We're salespeople. We're all nice. All right? Follow-up, that's where we start falling down. Only 38% of the people were contacted after they left the dealership. 65% demo ride, 72% manager TOs. That's the information that you guys are looking for. That's the stuff that you guys need out of your customers whenever they leave the store. This is the information that they're going to be giving you. Now, believe me, when we're sitting there talking about this stuff, like on the last slide, believe me, your customers want to give you that information. They want to give that information to someone. They just don't necessarily want to give it to you. You know, I tell a story a bunch about riding on airplanes. Again, I told you I'd talk about airplanes, a lot here in a minute. Well, when I first used to hop on an airplane, when I started doing this job, what would happen is I'd sit down next to a guy, and I'd always sit down next to the guy for some reason that wants to talk, and I talk for a living, so I don't ever want to talk to anybody when I get on an airplane. I want to sit there and read and go to sleep. But, they used to ask me, say, hey, what do you do for a living? I'd say, I'm in the car business. At that point in time, they'd start giving me every piece of information that ever happened about every car deal that they ever did in their entire lives, like it or not. So I don't tell them I'm in the car business anymore. I tell them I sell insurance. Who wants to talk to an insurance salesman? None of us. All right? Your outside sources. The reason your outside sources or your virtual BDCs are so successful, first of all, is manpower. If you got an outside source out there with 1,000 people sitting in it doing nothing but waiting to make telephone calls for you, you're going to have a higher contact ratio. All right, so your contact ratios are high for a couple of different reasons. I talked about your 5-minute coaching session on the last slide or two. When you're given that coaching session, the next, one of the last things we always tell everybody is, okay, go make your telephone calls. Well, your first shift is in at either 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So your meeting's over and they've done smoking and drinking coffee. So they've gone out, and at 9:30, 9:45, they start making telephone calls and they don't get a hold of anybody. And by 10:30, maybe, if it's that long, they're out there smoking more cigarettes, drinking more coffee, standing on the lot, all right, with still no appointments. Your next shift comes in at 1 o'clock. You do the same thing. They make all their phone calls at 1 o'clock. Same result. Guys, what we need to do is, and this is some ideas for y'all in the store, have your salespeople make telephone calls at different times. If I call Eliana today at 9:15 and she doesn't answer the phone at 9:15, and let's say we go crazy and say I call her twice today. Let's say I call her at 2:30 and she doesn't answer the phone. If I know she doesn't answer the phone at 9:15 and I know she doesn't answer the phone at 2:30, why tomorrow would I pick up the phone and call her at 9:15 and 2:30? Well, the salespeople are doing that every single solitary day. They're calling at the same times. That's the other reason your call centers or your virtual BDCs are having more success getting a hold of your customers. The computer that they're dialing with knows that Eliana didn't answer her phone at 9:15 and 2:30. So it doesn't call her tomorrow at 9:15 and 2:30. It calls her at 11:45 and 6:45. If she doesn't answer then, the computer knows it's starting to narrow down when she doesn't answer the phone and when she does until she actually picks up. It's never going to call on the same day. You also have more attempts, which we'll talk about. But you got to make more attempts. You got to call more than just one time. And again, your customers want to give you guys this information. They want to be on the phone. They're calling these people telling you that we're calling on behalf of XYZ dealership. We're a direct report to Eliana, the owner of XYZ, Cadillac. They want to give that information. They want you to know that Dan's breath smelled bad or you were $500 away on a deal. Whatever that information is, they want to know that information, or they want to give it to you. They want you to know. They just don't want to give it to you. I can't preach that enough. The other thing we're not doing is training our folks. Guys, what you got to do is sit down and train these people. If you're going to have your salespeople answer the phone, they're going to make their outside phone calls. Make sure you know what they're saying. Make sure they're trained and have the ability to actually pick up the phone. You paid a lot of money for that customer to come in or that customer to call in. Make sure they have scripts. Make sure they follow the scripts. Again, I said this earlier, I'll give you scripts. We're running about 150 different scripts in the call center right now. Send me an email. I'll send those to you. You'll have everything you need. All right? And quality control. Make sure your sales managers are actually listening to the calls. All right? Everybody in their CRM has the ability to click on a button and listen to telephone calls. How many people are doing it? Here's your information. Based on, again, 50 million dials last year, On average, it takes about 4.8 attempts to get a customer on the telephone. That's not a small market sample. So I'm not just saying, hey, we have these customers that are out there, we called 100 of them, and here's the information we got. That's based on 50 million. All right, that's a big number. So 4.8 attempts on average to get a customer on the phone. Here's my first question to everybody. How many sales reps are going to make 4 to 5 attempts on a customer to try and get them on the telephone? Only your good ones. That's why they're your good ones. That's why they sell 20 cars. The rest of the guys are going to keep selling 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 on their best month because they're calling customers 1 or 2 times. I told you with 2 valid telephone numbers, there's your contact ratio, 84%. You get us 2 telephone numbers, they're going to get 84% of the people on the phone with you. Out of that 84%, here's how bad your customers want to talk to you. Out of the 84%, 95% of them complete the survey. You know, they want to talk to you. They want to tell you their experience. They will give you the information. You just got to be persistent. Also, based on appointments, old car school rule, this doesn't change. People that set appointments, you're going to sell half of them that show up. No big deal, nothing new there. Everybody knows that information. Now, when that appointment shows up, what are we going to do with them? To grace our front doors in a car dealership and drive home in the new car. 4.3 hours. How many of you guys on the phone have 4.3 hours in your day that you can go do something with? I know I don't. I love to play golf. It takes 4 hours to play golf. I played 1 time this year. All right, if I'm not working, I'm coaching football or baseball for my kids, and it just doesn't happen. All right, so, y'all, we got to speed this thing up. Again, the millennials are all about instant gratification. You guys are all about time. You don't have any. When you do, you want to be on the phone with somebody like us trying to learn something, trying to pick something up. So what you should be able to do, let's walk through your deal real quick to show you how simple this should be. First thing is logging. You've got to get the data. We know that a customer's only going to, we know that we're only going to close 15 to 20% of the people their first time in. So you better get some information and call them back. You better get 2 telephone numbers so you got a good contact ratio. The next thing is you need a driver's license scanner. Now, here's the trick when I say driver's license scanner. I don't like the old school ones where you take a picture of it or it pulls it through. I mean a driver's license scanner on your CRM's mobile application. You guys need to be able to take a license from a customer, set it down on the hood of the F-150 they want to go take a test drive on, take a picture of it with the driver's license, or take a picture of it with your cell phone, and when you do, it actually scans it and logs that customer as an up. When you get back from the demo ride and you're doing your silent walk around on the trade, you should be able to take that same mobile app and go up there and take your little picture of that VIN number and log their trade in, and not only take a picture and log their trade, or I'm sorry, take a picture of the VIN number and log the trade, but you got to be able to take some pictures too. All right, take some pictures of the hickeys that are on the car, the dents, the dings and scratches, the new tires, you know, where the wife hit the car with the shopping cart or whatever it happens to be. Get pictures of that thing, and that stuff should be loaded. So when I walk in the door with you as my customer and I sit down behind my desk, I should be able to pull out my phone or my iPad and hand you that. All right, that is your worksheet. It's right there. It's electronic. That's where this is going, y'all. This place is going paperless. The world is going paperless. We got to get ahead of the game. So I've set my appointment. I've come in the door. Eliana's driven me in the white Escalade I wanted to buy. We've walked in the door. My desk manager already has his pencil up because I logged it with my phone. He already has all the trade information so he can get a first pencil out. I sit down and hand you that. It can have 9 retail payments on it, 9 lease payments. You can do 9 retail and 9 lease all on one screen. It needs to be totally interactive, right? So make sure that all your customer has to do is click on the button that they want. If they like that payment, click on it, hit a button, submit. They just bought a car. They agreed to purchase from you. If they didn't, give them away right there on the screen and make a counteroffer. Hit a button that says, hey, I want to make a counteroffer, and say, no, I don't want to pay $500. I only want to pay $450. I don't want to put $1 million down. I only have $100. Okay, so make sure you have all that information right there. After that, once that's done, your sales manager needs a way to hit a button and send it to Dealer Track or Route 1. Your sales manager needs a way to hit a button and pull credit right there inside of it. Your sales manager needs a way to hit a button and send it all over to your DMS. All right, guys, paperless. It's the way to go. It's simple. It's easy. Oh, Eliana, here we go again. You're up.
Thank you so much. All right, audience. Here we go. And final poll. Okay. National. You know what? Hold on one second. Mute him for a second there. Okay. Nationally, what is the average time it takes a customer to complete the purchase of a car? What do you think the answer is? Select one of these, and afterwards, Dan's going to tell us which one's the correct answer. Do you think it's 1.9 hours, 2.7 hours, 3.5 hours, 4.3 hours, or 6.1 hours? Nationally, how long do you think it takes a shopper to come in and actually buy a car, sitting in the dealership buying a car? How long do you think it takes? Have you ever done it? As a customer, not somebody who actually works at a dealership? Well, let's find out how good you are. 1.9 hours, 2.7 hours, 3.5 hours, 4.3 hours, or 6.1 hours. Yes, some research has been done on this, and there's actually an answer to this. So we want to know if you know the correct answer. Once we get the majority of these votes in, we're going to close this poll, share the results, and then Dan's going to let us know what the correct answer is. And I have Dan muted right now because it looks like we're having some audio problems today. So I appreciate you, sticking it out with us. We're going to get through this together, you and I. All right. So let's close this poll and share the results. All right. Dan, I'm going to unmute you, but
Unmuted.
Ooh, I don't know if I like this. I have to mute you again. Okay, let's see what we got. No one thought it was as little as 1.9 hours, which is unfortunate because that would be great if it was that little. 5% of today's audience thought that it was 2.7 hours. A quarter of today's audience think it's 3.5 hours. The majority, 63% of today's audience, think that it's 4.3 hours, and only 7% of today's audience thought that it was 6.1 hours. So Dan, what is the right answer?
4.3 is the correct answer. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention.
Most of the people today knew the right answer.
Yeah, 4.3 hours, y'all. That's a long time. Thank gosh it's not 6.1. The other thing that you guys need to start looking at right here is, again, all I'm trying to do is talk about communication and giving your customers what they want quickly and efficiently in the manner that they desire. Right? So mobile applications, again, are huge. I've talked about mobile on just about every single solitary screen that we've talked about. So you need a loyalty app. Right? You need an app for your dealership, whatever it happens to be. It's a great way to communicate with your customers. It brands your store. It gives them information. Not only does it have their, everybody sees this for service, right? So not only does it have your stuff for your car for service, but it also has all that information like inventory, ways to appraise their own car. God forbid they actually be able to make an offer from your mobile device. We do want to try and sell something. The other thing that you can do with this, which is the key, y'all, is you can actually send push notifications to people through your mobile app. It needs to have that ability. This gives you the ability to mass communicate with your customers and not have to worry about all the text messaging laws and things that are out there. If they have their push notifications on, you can send them things like oil change specials, 0% interest, employee pricing, whatever happens to be out there, you can now feed to your customers, and they have that information at the click of a button. Strategies. You guys need to be able to market to your people. You need to be able to look at your database and know who you want to get that information out to. You need to be able to have the ability inside your CRM to make calls to your customers based on, do they have equity in their cars? What's going on my service drive? All of that stuff, lower your payment campaigns, raise your payment campaigns. Increase, reminders, increase show rates, send text message alerts to remind your customers to come in. You got to be able to sit there and manage your database and what's going on with it. This is the type of things that your BDC should be doing, okay? So if you're running a BDC right now, again, it's a business development center, not a business follow-up center, right? Have them make phone calls. Not only do you have them making phone calls for things like end of lease, that customer's in the buying cycle right now, equity customers, service drive customers, whatever, lower your payment campaigns, whatever those things are. You also need stats on it. You need to know what they're doing. How many times did they call? How many good telephone numbers did they have? What was their contact ratio? How many appointments did they set? Right? Folks, if they haven't been to the service drive or haven't came in to buy a car, won't set an appointment to come in and buy a car, we need to set an appointment for them to come to the service department. They need to be able to look right there inside the CRM or right there inside the tool that they're using to make these phone calls and know that I haven't visited your service drive in 30, 60, 90, or 120 days. Offer me something to come back. Get this customer back in the door some way, somehow, spending money in your dealership, be it the back door in service or the front door in sales. Just get them back in. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. I hope I've given all of you guys on here something to take away from this. I've tried to fill Bill's shoes as best I can. He's a fantastic speaker. So I feel kind of like the backup quarterback today. I finally got the nod, got to throw a few passes. Hopefully I have performed better than the backup. So, guys, I hope everybody got something out of here. You got some more ways to communicate with your customers. You got some ideas on how to speed up the deal, get people in and out faster, and do the things that they want to do. And again, communicate with your customers, not the way you want to communicate with them, but the way your customer wants to be communicated with. Eliana, you're on.
Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate you. I'm having some audio difficulties, Dan, so unfortunately we can't talk at the same time, so I have to mute you while I talk. I really apologize for that, but don't worry, I'm going to unmute you in just a second. Before we go any further, audience, I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. If you have any questions for Dan Dillingham from eLead1, please send them on in. We have some great questions that already came in from the audience. Love to get to your questions today. He said he'd stay as long as we could keep him. So if you've got a great question for him, let's get to those in just a moment. Before we do that, though, got a little bit of business to take care of. It's that time. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, I announced that our good friends at eLead1 are giving away a fantastic prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees will be winning a free 500-name Gold Digger call campaign. It's valued at $1,750, and the Gold Digger live call campaign blends best-in-class eLead virtual BDC with the industry's most advanced data mining technology to strategically target positive equity or early trade-out opportunities. This is a phenomenal prize for your dealership. All you have to do is answer a simple question about this presentation that you just saw. So get ready, get to your keyboards. Good luck, everyone. First one to write in the correct response to this question will be walking away with this very cool prize today. And vendors, please sit this one out. This prize is, of course, only for dealership personnel. And Dan, you can go to the next slide if you wouldn't mind. Are you still there? Okay, there you go. All right, everyone. Here you go. Good luck, everyone. Let me put this down here. Okay, the question is, what is the typical sold rate on appointment-based campaigns with good follow-up? What is the typical sold rate on appointment-based campaigns with good follow-up? Once I get a correct answer, we'll close this off, and then we'll start the question and answer session with our audience. And I'm looking, I do not see a correct answer. I do not see a correct answer on here. I know a lot of people have been guessing. If you've already guessed, guess again, because I do not see a correct. I'm going to repeat the question. Still no correct answers. And I'll give you a hint. You're all way too high. All of you are way too high. Way too high. The question is, what is the typical sold rate on appointment-based campaigns with good follow-up? No one's gotten it yet. You're all way too high. Yeah, I mean, you're not even close. And I only know because I listened to him. He did say it. Oh, I think somebody got it. Oh my gosh, finally somebody got it. Ooh, let me scroll up because all of you guys are still writing in. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss it. I know a lot of people were answering really, really high, and it was not correct. Okay, the winner, the answer is 2 to 3%, and only one person got it. Robin Lamoth. Lamoth? Robin Lamoth. Congratulations. Yes, you were the first person to write in 2%. It was either 2 to 3%. I would have taken anything in between there, but you got it. So Robin Lamoth, I am writing your name down. Congratulations. And please write in and let me know what dealership you're from so I can give you a proper congratulations. Everyone, thank you so much for playing along, and I hope you enjoyed that. That was really fun. Congratulations to Robin Lamoth, today's winner, and of course, we want to also thank our great friends at eLead One for their incredible generosity. Robin already wrote in and said, thanks. I don't know what dealership you're from, Robin. Please write it in so I can know. Oh, Dan Corville Chevrolet Buick GMC. You are a winner of a very, very cool Gold Digger campaign worth $1,750. So congratulations. All right, Dan, I'm going to unmute you now. I hope you got something to drink.
I did.
Okay, great. So we have some great questions from audio. Ooh, this audio is tough. I'm going to ask you the question, then I'm going to mute myself so I don't have to hear this. Okay, first question comes to you from Michael. He says, do you, Dan, value responsive websites to mobile websites versus adaptive for easier readability?
Absolutely. The responsive adaptive websites have got to be out there nowadays. You know, you need one website basically to give you your information. It's also going to help you with your SEO and all your marketing that's out there. There's no reason to have a mobile website now when you can just have one with responsive adaptive, and it fits on every device.
Great question. Thank you so much, Michael. We got two people who wrote in the same kind of question. The first one comes from Russ. He says, what CRM do you recommend? And Yasser also said, you mentioned that we need to get a CRM that leverages SMS and MMS in effective manners. Can you recommend a few of those CRMs? Dan?
Unmuted.
Well, that obviously working for eLead One, that will be my first recommendation, is to email me and I'll get you all the information that you want. But hey, there's some other good stuff out there, you know, that my competitors even, and I'll go ahead and say their names because Eliana will want me to, but you know, Ben Solutions puts together a good tool, so does DealerSocket. So there's some good CRMs out there. They're all going to do a lot of the same stuff. It's about what you're going to do with it inside the store.
Thank you so much for that, Dan. You're so generous. It was funny, too, because when they wrote in the question, I even said, well, he's probably going to recommend eLead CR. So thank you so much for answering that. I appreciate you. Okay, next question comes to you from, Michael asked another question again. He says, about the current millenniums at large, do you feel that they pick up the phone as often as others? Over the age of 35. So do you think really the phone call is the best way, or do you think texting is more what millenniums want from salespeople?
Unmuted.
Well, I mean, it depends on what they're doing with it. When they get ready to buy, they're making a phone call. They're tapping on the phone and they're contacting the dealer. There's a lot of them, too, as well, though, that are going to do nothing but text, and that's the only way they want to be contacted. Again, everybody's going to be different. Every single person out there is going to be different. So our job as salespeople and what we're doing is to figure out how your customer wants to be communicated with. You know, so yeah, phone and text both is the answer.
Thank you so much for that. Oh, man, I'm having a hard time over here with the audio. Okay, Michael, different Michael, by the way, he says, what is a good SMS script that includes a link? Now, I know you had offered the audience already for, what, 150 some odd different scripts for SMS, is that right?
that right? I'm muted.
For phone calls, yes. So yeah, we do have scripts for phone calls, and we have a ton of them. And you know, it's a specific script off the top of my head. There's really not one. It depends on what the customer's wanting. But I'll be more than happy to send you that information if you'll send in your email address or copy mine down and shoot me an email. I'll get it over to you this afternoon.
That would be great. Audience, I want to again let you know, if you would like those scripts, please email Dan directly at dan.dillingham@elead1crm.com. Did I say that right? Oh, I'm
Lead one.
Oh, I'm muted.
That's right. No one. Just eleadcrm.com. It's right there on
eleadcrm.
the screen. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
All right. Next question comes to you from Darwin. Darwin says, Dan, I come from a high-volume luxury store in Atlanta, and many dealers don't want to invest in enough support staff to assist in the process. Managers are too busy being admins with worrying about commission checks, getting new hires processed, incentives, etc. And instead of focusing on the business and giving that attention to the sales staff to close the deal and or follow up with the customer. So the owners need to invest in supporting the people, not just the processes. The question is, from Darwin, Dan, do you have any advice on how to get more support to make that happen within the dealership?
I'm muted.
Man, that's a tricky question. Darwin, I used to call that EBSC when I was in a store. Everything but selling cars. So I definitely know where you're coming from. You know, that's a really tough question. As far as getting a dealer to hire more folks or spend more money, that's tough to do. That's always the last thing they want to do. I know that there's ways and there's companies out there that can help prop you guys up and help with the follow-up and help do the heavy lifting. You know, I know y'all don't want to call the desk log every day. I know that y'all can't call every single customer. So there's companies out there that can do that for you. But it is going to take some investment from the dealer.
Thank you so much for that, Dan. Okay, Darwin, I hope you like that. He already wrote in. He's like, ooh, well played. Okay. So thank you so much, Darwin. Great question. All right. Anthony wrote in. He would like those 150 scripts. So I'm going to just remind everyone, I just put it into everyone's question section, Dan Dillingham's email address. So it's dan.dillingham, and you can see it on the screen right now at eleadcrm.com. All right. Joe says, we currently use eLead as our CRM. And speaking of texting, we utilize the text-to-drive feature through eLeads. But how can I send a text with offers to our customer database? As far as I know, the eLead texting can only be done one client at a time. Is there a change in the works for that, Dan, or do you know a shortcut that can help Joe out?
I'm muted.
Okay, so if I understand that question correctly, what you're wanting to do is send mass text messages. A couple of things is, the first one is we're never going to give you guys, nor will we ever, I hate saying those words, but I'm going to do it anyway, do mass text messaging. There's too many laws, too many legalities out there that are, I mean, you guys are going to get fried, we're going to get fried. It's just a bad deal. What you need in order to mass communicate with your customers is the loyalty link application. A good loyalty app, and I'm not selling ours, there's a ton out there, but a good loyalty app will give you the ability to send push notifications. Remember, there's a difference between a push notification and a text message. The push notification is coming from the app. You should also have the ability inside of that, inside your CRM, to send that loyalty application or the dealership mobile app out through your CRM to your entire database. So all they got to do is click on a button and download it.
Thank you so much for that, Dan. Great question, Joe. You know, I love me some Joe Pozo. All right, Courtney has the next question. She says, you brought up going completely paperless. What does that mean for credit apps and compliance?
I'm muted.
Well, I guess I shouldn't use the word completely. Yes, at some point in the process, you're going to have to grab a printed credit application. You got to have one from the deal anyway, or at least I did when I was an F&I director many moons ago. I had to have a hard copy of the application. But what I mean is your salesperson shouldn't have to handwrite anything anymore. Your salesperson should have everything on a phone, an iPad, the computer sitting in front of him. He shouldn't have to handwrite a credit application, have to handwrite a deal sheet, have to handwrite a cover sheet, have to handwrite all the things that we were having to do in the past. It's like I walked through in a couple of those slides. You should be able to take your phone and be able to do just about everything you need to do to sell cars. But as far as I know, and those of you who are F&I directors on here could probably answer that question better than me because it's been a while, you still have to have a hard copy of a credit application in order to cash a deal.
Got you. Thank you so much. Great answer. Courtney, great question. If you have another one, please send it on in. All right, next question comes to you from Robert. He says, are the graphic reports available on the standard CRM platform? And he says also, forgive me if I've missed that.
Unmuted.
Robert, I'm not sure what you mean by graphic reports. What I'm doing is writing this down. Send me that in an email, and I'll get you the answer. But I'm not sure what your definition of graphic reports are.
Gotcha. Okay. Robert, please write on into him, and let's see if we can get this worked out for you. Your next question comes from Elmer. He says, Dan is an awesome presenter. Can Dan explain the 114 missed calls? 114 in relation to what?
Unmuted.
Say that one more time, Eliana. You were breaking up. Something about 100.
Yes.
Unmuted.
Dan is an awesome presenter. Can Dan explain 114 missed calls? 114 in relation to what?
Those are the missed calls that are coming into the dealership that were missed. Those are calls that came in after hours. So incoming sales and service calls both.
I got you now. Okay, Elmer, thank you so much. Yeah, I know. My audio is getting really bad, so I have to mute and unmute each of us. I'm sorry, audience. You're hanging in there with me, and I appreciate you. I'm going to try and make this as good as possible. All right. Doreen has the next question. Doreen says, some dealers that have BDCs have given feedback that they were not successful at handling internet leads because the reps were not equipped with enough product knowledge about the vehicles. So how much training should a BDC rep have without being actually a salesperson? Should a BDC rep just be focused on phone techniques to book the appointment, or should they be able to sell the car by phone too? Do you have any advice for Doreen, Dan?
Unmuted.
Absolutely, Doreen. That's a fantastic question. Thanks for asking it. The old adage in the car business is, you're on the phone selling an appointment, not a car, and it still stands. If they have that customer on the telephone, they got to get the customer into the dealership. They need to set an appointment, get the customer in, or give them the information that the customer is looking for so they can get them in. The product knowledge that they have, if we're all real honest about it, your BDC rep's going to have as much product knowledge as your 5 or 6 or 7 month salesman that's sitting out there on your lot right now. They're all going to the same places to get the information. If you go ask a salesperson a question, he's going to look it up online. Get your BDC rep the information. One of the things that I know that good virtual BDCs do, outside sources, is they'll have the ability during the phone call to pull the website up and be able to give information on the car. So I still think you're selling an appointment. I don't think you're selling a car on the phone.
Thank you so much. Great question, Doreen. That was really great. If you have a follow-up question, please write on in and let us know. Okay, we just have a last handful of questions to go through, so let's keep going. Caroline has the next question. She says, any advice on overnight response times?
Unmuted.
I guess what you're saying is, should you guys be monitoring your leads 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when you say overnight response time? So if I'm not, please let Eliana know, and I'll try and clarify. But I tell the guys that work for me, I want them answered all the time. If somebody sends in a lead, I want to get that information out there. Now, if the lead comes in at, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, it just needs to be answered as soon as somebody gets to work, or somebody gets out of bed. If they're up at 7:30 rocking, again, grab your telephone. All their leads should be coming to their phone. There's no reason before they get dressed, showered, drink their coffee, do the things that they need to do, they can't answer the lead via their telephone. When they answer it from their phone, it should do a couple of things when they're answering from their phone. If it goes to their regular email, it should be able to stop the clock, and it should also keep a record inside your CRM of what was going on directly from their mobile device.
Thank you so much. Great answer. Caroline, if you have a follow-up question, please let us know. All right, next question comes to you from, Caroline said yes. Okay. Yasser has the next question. Yasser says, does eLead provide the opportunity to send MMS? I believe the answer is yes, but let's hear from Dan.
Yes, but let's hear. Unmuted.
Absolutely we do. At the click of a button, you can click on it and send whatever you need.
Okay. I like it. Next question comes to you from Valentina. Oh, what a beautiful name. Valentina says, we have an independent store of roughly 100 cars. We do not have the same budgets as many of the franchise dealers. What do you suggest we can implement in order to take the next step? This is for Valentina. Dan?
Dan, unmuted.
Valentina, I really think that you and I need to talk on that one, because it depends on I don't know what you're doing now. So for me to answer anything would just be a wild guess. I don't think that's fair to you or anybody else on. But shoot me an email, give me your contact info. Let's talk about what you're doing now and maybe what you can put in place to get you to 115, 120, 150, depending on where you want to go.
Valentina, I'd take him up on that if I were you. Please get in touch with him. All of his contact information is, of course, on the screen in front of you. I hope that works out for you. Okay, next question comes to you, Dan, from Russ. Russ says, I was told there was a limit of 3 attachments or photos per email in the eLead CRM. Is that correct? Is that something that can be changed? Can you help him out?
Russ, I'm not familiar with that limitation. I was in a store just the other day, and I added, 4 or 5 pieces of inventory to something before we sent it out. So, we have 1,500 employees. So, it's possible that either something was changed that I don't know about, which I don't think, but or that somebody gave you some bad information. If that's the case, I sincerely apologize. And again, shoot me an email. Let me look it up. I'll try and do it as soon as we hang up and get you an answer.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you so much for taking care of that. Russ wrote in. Great. Thanks. He's definitely going to be contacting you, Dan. All right. Next question. Actually, I think it's our last question. Yeah. Our last question comes to you from Kevin. Kevin says, I call much more than the 4.8 attempts average per day. I stagger times and the days. I do multiple calls per day, but I seem to have a low rate of getting callbacks and people on the phone. Dan, do you have any tips on getting to a better pickup ratio?
Unmuted.
If you're staggering your times, how many telephone numbers are you getting? What telephone numbers are you getting? And maybe your customer, some of the people that you're calling just don't want to answer the phone. I know I'm bad about it. Everybody's got caller ID, so try shooting them a text message if you're getting cell phone numbers. If your CRM doesn't have the ability, just send it from your telephone. See if your customers want to communicate that way. Also, grab some email addresses. If you're staggering your times and you're not getting there, again, it's content, it's the data that maybe is being collected.
Thank you so much. And Kevin wrote in also and said thank you so much. And I lied. We do have some more questions. Doreen wrote in. She says, our dealership has an internet lead management team and also a BDC department. And we're interested in collaborating on a strategy so that the internet lead salesperson can handle a short-term, maybe 1 to 2 week follow-up process, and then have the BDC work on the long-term follow-up strategy. That's really interesting, Doreen. So the question is, Dan, do you have any ideas or advice on this for Doreen? Dan?
Dan, unmuted.
I love the idea, Doreen. I preach that to our dealers a ton. We're lots of dealers, and I probably should have talked about this in the presentation, so I apologize. But where a lot of our dealers are missing business is the internet lead that's, over 21 days old. Because to be quite, to be blunt, you're running out of time. Your salespeople, your BDC people, I'm worried about the stuff that's coming in right now. Once it's 5, 10, 15, 20 days old, I don't have time to get to it anymore because I got leads coming in right now that I'm sitting there trying to work. What I would do is I would say that let your people work on it no longer than 5 to 7 days. If they can't set an appointment with the customer, Doreen, in that time frame, kick it over to the BDC, and then you guys start calling and emailing and texting your customers trying to get them in the door. But I would give your sales rep no longer than 5 to 7 days, because if your internet salesperson is taking that deal from soup to nuts, or they're getting the lead, they're doing the demo, they're closing the deal, they're delivering the car, they're worried about what's going on in front of them. They may not even be working on it for 5 days.
It's great advice. And Doreen, good luck with that. I hope that works out for you. It seems like a really, really innovative solution that you're coming up with. I also want to let you know, Dan, that Tony wrote in. He said, great content, Dan. I really appreciate your time investment, and thank you so much. This comes from Anthony Fernandez at Select Auto NRV. So he just wanted to say that. And then also Russ wrote in. He says, I love Dan's energy. Is he related to Grant Cardone? I don't know if you are, but I don't think so.
Grant unmuted.
I don't know if you are, but I don't think so.
Grant just put a new airplane on Facebook, so I wish I was, but no. Uh-oh, I lost everybody.
Thank you so much, Dan. We're going to have to say goodbye to you. If you want to give a final thank you to the audience before we sign up.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all, thank you very much for getting on, taking time. Great questions. Please send me any questions you have via email. I'll try and get to every single one of them today. If not, I'll get to you at least by tomorrow. Russ, you out there, man, send me that stuff so I can get back with you and get your answers on our CRM. And thank you everybody for the great feedback. Being compared to Grant Cardone is definitely fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dan. That was wonderful. And to that I say, Bill Wittenmyer, who? That's right. That was an awesome presentation, and of course we're just past the top of the hour. Any questions that weren't answered during the time allotted, don't worry, we're going to answer them directly by email later today. I want to remind the audience that a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference. Please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And today's webinar is going to be posted online within 24 hours, so just go to dealeron.com/webinars. And there you can also view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars too by clicking on the link on the right-hand side that says On Demand Webinars. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, in just a moment, you're going to receive a short survey. So please fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. Today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. You don't want to miss out on that. And I want to let you know, invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next webinar, and it's called Everything You're Doing Wrong with Your Brand, with the one and only Sean Raines. OEMs mandate so much, and it's no surprise dealers often feel that differentiating themselves is now more difficult than ever. Additionally, consumers are no longer falling for lame or false branding, and the dealerships who've been underestimating the value and importance of their brand, well, they're definitely losing some sales. Besides, successfully defining your brand will help you deliver your message clearly, confirm your credibility, connect with your target prospects emotionally, motivate buyers, and increase customer loyalty. So the question is, are you struggling to define your brand? Well, guess what? Sean Raines is here to help. In this eye-opening 1-hour webinar, he's going to help you identify false branding and turn your brand into one that consumers appreciate, need, and want. Sean will discuss how to properly set your dealership apart from the crowd and establish a significant and differentiated process that attracts and retains customers. If you want to learn everything you're doing wrong with your brand and you enjoy a little humor mashed up with a whole lot of education, then you don't want to miss this webinar. Don't forget, Dealeron's weekly webinars are held every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some really great webinar subjects planned to close out 2014, but if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio. I love to hear from you, and I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I'm on all the automotive social networks, so please track me down online, or you can email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. And I also want to wish all of the veterans out there and their families a belated Happy Veterans Day and a heartfelt thank you for your service. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in our continuing education series. Take care.